Today on Hopped Up Beer Review, we're going to be trying Crazy Sista. It's a honey ale from Back 40 Beer Company out of Gadsden, Alabama. Thank you for joining us. Hey everybody, welcome to Hopped Up Beer Review, the show where we give you our unprofessional, somewhat biased opinion about the beer that we are drinking and reviewing. We are back once again, and thank you for joining us. Go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, do all that fun stuff now. Get it out of the way. We'll give you a second. All right, I got Andy in the attic. I got Jay. I am Ben. What are we drinking today, gentlemen?
Crazy Sista. It's the one that it says, take a sip of summertime.
All right.
So, there's a lot of interesting details about this beer, but I'm going to let Andy share those.
Do my darndest.
And whatever he doesn't share, I will make up for.
Please supplement. You are very familiar with this, with the brewery and the namesake.
Of course.
Somebody else wants to chime in there in the background?
Obviously. Cheers, mates.
Cheers, mates.
Cheers, mates.
Crazy Sista Honey Ale. It's a brown ale brewed with Alabama wildflower honey. It is 4.5%, and it is the official beer of Lulu's. What is Lulu's? It is a restaurant entertainment area that was founded by Lucy Buffett, sister of famed, the late but great Jimmy Buffett, singer, entrepreneur, potential drug smuggler, sailor, all those.
I think you should not defame someone like that.
I didn't, because I just heard a trivia thing the other day. Jimmy Buffett was, if his music wasn't taken off, it was by the time his third album came out, he was contemplating smuggling marijuana on boats. The Gulf. But his third album took off, and now
Thankfully.
it's weird as today.
Thankfully.
So Lulu's was founded in Gulf Shores, Alabama. It opened in 2004. She originally had a place called Lulu's Sunset Grill on Weeks Bay in Fairhope, Alabama. But that was founded in 1998. But her lease was, there you go, lease was not renewed. So I read something that they took everything that they could on a barge from Fairhope, took it around from the bay, Mobile Bay, around into the Gulf, went a little east.
Intercoastal.
And then, the Intercoastal Waterways, because it is on the Intercoastal Waterways. It's not directly on the Gulf. That was in 2004. They also expanded to North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and Destin, Florida, with a Lulu's.
Wow.
And the beer is named Crazy Sista after her, because that's what her family referred to her as, Crazy Sista. Before I talk about Back 40, Jay, tell us, I've driven past Lulu's.
Never been.
I have never been to Lulu's.
Wow.
Well,
Lulu's is
okay.
like an institution. You've got to go.
It's crowded. It's a tourist trap.
Wow.
And my wife, she's like, I don't want to go there. She's been there with like a girls trip, and she's like, it's packed. You're waiting on a table. You're exhausted.
You've got to go there at least once. And
what I'm
I
saying.
visited. I haven't been to the one in South Carolina, but I've been to both the Destin and the Gulf Shores locations, obviously. But yeah, it's an institution. You just got to go there and have one of these beers or another brew and get an appetizer or two.
Sit at
Or
the bar.
the food is actually really good. I mean, it's a cool place. And Jimmy Buffett, on occasion, when he was still walking this earth, he used to make surprise appearances and just play there. So
Well,
they always
she
have
had
pretty good live music, and it's
she was a chef or cook. She said she cooked on every coast, all three coasts, and designed the menu and everything.
yeah, it's good. I mean, I hear you about it being a tourist trap, and a lot of people think that way, but there are a lot of other places I would avoid. Lulu's is one that I'm not. I don't dread going to. So you ought to give it a
Is
whirl.
don't they have like a slide off the top deck into the water or something like that? Or like,
I've never
I
seen
don't
that.
recall that.
They have like
okay, I
a
don't know. Driving past, it looks like it. It's a massive
yeah.
place.
Yeah,
They
it
have like
is.
a ropes course type thing for kids and a big play
Maybe that's
area
what
for
I'm saying.
kids, multiple bar areas. It has definitely grown. The first time I went there was in 2005. Because I got engaged right after that. So that was the first trip to lose. Actually, I take that back. No, that's
We
true.
missed the
Yeah.
last 30 seconds of what you said.
I paused. So, but
Yeah,
yeah.
Oh
but
yeah.
you just
Yeah.
kept talking.
Well, I just picked back up. I paused. Then I kept talking. Um, but uh, but anyway, I'll repeat that. The first time I went to Liz is I think around 2005, right before my wife and I got engaged, and it has grown and its footprint as far. I mean, the restaurant itself has kind of stayed about the same, but they have other bars out there. They have other activities there now that they didn't have the first couple of times that I went. But it's definitely a place you got to go when you pull into town. Um, as we're recording this, we are thinking about going down to the beach next week, and our first stop when we get to town will be Lulu's. They have really good pina coladas too, if you like pina coladas. So I don't drink a whole lot of
So
stuff other than beer, but pina colada is one thing I will have.
the one in Destin, they actually have a beach area, and on it where kids can play, and actually you see boats that come up and they'll anchor off the beach, or they'll drive up and just shore right there on the beach and come in and get a drink or dinner or appetizers.
Nice. So yeah, you got to go.
Yep.
Which means you'll never go because we're telling you to go. You're not going to do it. So
I don't know. I mean, Band of Brothers is coming around.
I finished the first episode.
All right.
Because I told you, because I had the other Curahee, I was like, I will drink this other Curahee while I finish the episode Curahee for the first episode of Band of Brothers.
I'm going to go find you some more of that beer so you can finish the rest of it. I'm going to give you.
I've got one more. Okay. But all the other episodes aren't named Curahee, so I don't have to watch Band of Brothers to finish.
So, Andy, I don't have anything else to say about the beer.
Okay, I'm going to get to Back 40. So, Back 40 Beer Company out of Gadsden, Alabama. It's a microbrewery. It is named for people who may not know the reference. I don't know if it's known internationally, what we call the Back 40, named for an old agricultural term referring to the 40 acres of land situated farthest from the barn. Excuse me. Historically, this land is the most challenging land to maintain, and it's more remote, but they also saw it as being fertile. And they saw Alabama as the Back 40 in terms of a wasteland for craft beer in the U.S., being remote, challenging, things like that. So their story starts. The guy he went out and visited his brother in Colorado, all this wonderful beer. He wanted to do something like that in Alabama. But as you know, Jay, challenging beer laws in Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
So around
Free the
2008,
hops.
yeah, after he wanted to start it, but the beer laws in the state, I had it. Oh yeah, it was illegal. So in 2008,
Mm-hmm.
to produce or sell a beer in the state of Alabama that exceeded 6% ABV.
Right.
So that's a bunch of styles that they couldn't do. That traditional craft breweries would produce. It was also illegal to operate a tasting room at the brewery or sell beer directly to the public. And even worse, they say it was illegal to package beer in a container larger than 16 ounces. So that's not the end of the world. But if once you do these specialty barrel aged or sours, bombers, things like that, couldn't have that. But still, as they claim on their website, to this day, it's illegal for breweries to offer investment opportunities to anyone owning a restaurant or distributor within the state, which made it difficult for a small business. So you can open it on the site after the brewery, but you couldn't go to.
So Free the Hops was the big movement across the state of Alabama for years. Growing up, we always had that challenge. I grew up in the state of Alabama, and we never had any true craft beers. You couldn't even get a Beta here. It was a thrill if you found Purple Haze in Mississippi, Louisiana, somewhere else, or Turbo Dog, one of those. And then I think you did a good description of covering it when we did Good People, because Good People claims, and it says on their can, brewing beer legally in the state of Alabama since 2008. But Free the Hops was a big movement to push forward on that. They still have that organization. They're the ones who put on a couple of the big Brewfest, the one back in February here in Huntsville, where they had, I think, 80 breweries this time.
So they technically were founded 2009, and they got their start. He got his brewer because the owner was in the corporate world, but he wanted to get this going. Got his brewer, and they did not have a site to brew, so they did contract brewing with Lazy Magnolia out of Kiln, Mississippi. And there, with connections, Mississippi was also going through the same issues with state laws, just holdovers from prohibition, ABV issues, distribution, stuff like that. So they were contract brewing, and they released their first beer in 2009. Boom. And that was Naked Pig Pale Ale.
Mm-hmm. That's one that they still have staple as their year-round today. The other one that's really popular is their Truck Stop Honey.
It came out in 2010. That was big. When that started selling here, I was like, that was a lot of people.
Yeah, it's one of their better brews, in my opinion. And it's very unfortunate, that the Huntsville trip, when you guys were here, didn't last longer, or we didn't have a little more time, because literally, probably 2 or 3 miles from where we were staying, they have a massive tap room that they've opened.
You drove me past that.
We
that was
have
huge.
Enough time, yeah. So, but they've done a great job. I was always skeptical of Back 40 and their beer, because they were hit or miss with some of their efforts. And I thought being the production out of Gadsden was a little smaller, but I think they've opened a tap room, and Andy, you'll probably elaborate, in Birmingham and now in Huntsville. And
no elaboration needed. They have a tap room in Birmingham and Huntsville. That's the only other thing. That's all I know.
So I've actually been really impressed with their draft beer, because I'd never been to their tap room in Gadsden, but the one here in Huntsville, most everything I've had has been really good. So
All right. Has anybody had this one?
Jay,
I assume
surprised you haven't had Ben.
I've not had this one. I've
You're always your first stop.
never seen it. I don't remember seeing it at Lulu's. I maybe just have missed it, or maybe they didn't have it when I was there. But I don't remember seeing this one.
Well, maybe you were offended by the name because that's what we called you in college, and so you're like, I can't. I want to put those days behind me.
Maybe. So I'll go first since this beer was obviously named after me. So I think this beer is good. I think it's a really good beer if you had it at Lulu's with the food. It's a light beer. It's got just a little bit of flavor to it. And so when you're at Lulu's having some of the great seafood, whatnot, I could see where this would be a great beer to pair with some of that. I definitely get a little touch of the honey, even though honey's not always something I can pick out in a beer, or at least previous ones we've had of recent memory. But it is just a little touch sweet, but it's not. When I saw brown ale with honey, I was really hoping for that kind of fuller flavor, a little bit bolder flavor. And I'm not, it's a little more on the light side for what I would prefer. But I can understand why they would do that to mix it with a restaurant. I think it pairs well from that standpoint. As far as a rating, definitely would drink this again. I think it would be great on the beach if you had it. Be great at a hot day at Lulu's for sure. I'm going to go with the 7 on this one. Andy, what do you think?
It tastes heavier than 4.5% to me. And I was curious, a brown ale with honey added. And I don't know if I'd want this on a hot day on the beach. When I think on the beach, I do not think of brown ales. That said, because it's kind of throwing me
I
off.
can't believe you discriminate.
You got beach beer and then you don't have beach beer. I'm not going to have a milk stout or a barrel age on the beach either.
How dare you?
I mean, that'd be great on a beach at the evening, maybe a little fire cozied up. Come on.
How do I kick Andy out of this?
A fire at night when it's not hot. Yes, you got a fire, so it's cool, when it's hot. And I don't want those. And I like brown ales, and I was curious to see because I don't remember having a brown ale with honey in it. Now, all this said, it's not a bad beer. I want to give it its due. It would go good with, or go well with some salty food, maybe a little bit of fried seafood or something like that. But I don't think it needs honey. I think I would have liked to have tried the brown ale without the honey, and I think it would have been just fine. But I would drink it even if I had another one. I would drink it again. But I just don't think this brown ale needs honey in it, so I'll give it a 6.5.
All right, Jay, what do you think?
So Ben, if you do happen to go, you do realize now you have to try this. They actually, this is the local draft beer. I looked, while Andy was reviewing. There's the Crazy Sista honey ale version like this on draft. Mm-hmm. They also have a Crazy Sista blonde ale, which would probably be more suited towards the summertime. Yeah. You get both of these versions that are offered in draft. Then they have additional beers that they offer, whether you're at the Gulf Shores or the Destin location, that are local draft beers. I really kind of like the honey with this. It's unique. I don't think it deters from it. I could drink this actually on the beach or on the lake or by the pool. It is a little heavier, like you said, Andy, than the 4.7, I think is what it is.
4.5.
4.5, four something. It drinks a lot heavier than that. So you're not going to, I couldn't sit here and have 6 of these. They're not crushable or something like that. But it would be a great beer to have with a meal, I think. And that's kind of the point of what they do and why they have it there. But, you know, at some point we'll have to do that taste test of the drafts and maybe have a short or a little video of that from one of us going by Lulu's. So for me, it's a 7. It's a solid beer. I enjoy it, but it's a brown, and it's got that little bit of honey.
Andy, did you mention how long they've been brewing this? Do we have any idea?
No,
because I just don't remember.
see that.
I can't imagine going to Lulu's, seeing this on draft, and not trying it. You know,
Kind of bummed that they took away the art, the Sista.
Yeah. And there's a quote there.
There's a quote there.
And it's on the can too. You either have one, know one, or are one, from Lucy Buffett. So, but yeah, I just do not remember seeing that. Have you had it on draft there, Jay? Do you remember?
I have not.
Yeah.
You know, I'm so obsessed with my IPAs. Normally, I would just pass over something like this, but nowadays, and part of the problem too is that they have some really good IPAs that I like that I can't find here.
Sure.
Like they have Fish Whistle, which is you know, that's one out of 30A.
For those that want to look up Lulu's funfoodmusic.com. Maybe
we'll put that link down below in the description if you want to look it up. And Andy, I'll send that to you in an email just so you have it handy for your next trip.
Have what?
Since you've never been there. The website. That is going to be a 6.8 for the Crazy Sista Honey Ale from Back 40 Beer Company out of Gadsden, Alabama. If you ever go to Gulf Shores, Andy, you have got to go to Lulu's. It's a great place. Check it out. You will definitely enjoy it. Tell them, or Destin, yeah. Tell them Hopped Up Beer Review sent you. If you tell them Hopped Up Beer Review sent you, they will give you nothing. So just go ahead and do that, and you will get some. I take that back. They will give you an odd look. You will get that from them. So
they'll tell you to get out. Book. They'll say get out.
Yeah. Definitely appreciate you checking out this video, and would appreciate like, subscribe, and a cheers for that notification bell. Got all that down below there, and in the description we have links for our Hopped Up Beer Review Discord server. It's a chat room. You can come in. You can tell Andy he needs to go check out Lulu's, and you know, maybe he'll do it. Probably not, since you're telling him to, like us. We got some other links down below for merch. We got links for some other things. Just go down there, check it out if you've not done so in the past. For Andy in the attic and Jay, I am Ben. Thanks for watching. Cheers, mates.
Cheers, mates.